Hi everyone, it's Karen Combs from Karen Combs Studio. Welcome to Quilting Tips. Today we're going to look at the 1/4" seam and some ways to set it up on your sewing machine. You might have an older machine like this. This is my beloved featherweight I've had for a very long time. And maybe you have an older machine that you love, but it doesn't have a 1/4" foot. Now you can buy special feet, and I do have a special foot for my featherweight that is a 1/4". But what if you don't have it? Or maybe you're in class and you forgot it. What do? Well, I want to show you how to take care of that. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to take some graph paper, and that's what I have here, and we're going to cut a piece out. If you don't have graph paper, and this is 1/4" graph paper, just take some paper and draw some lines that are 1/4" apart. And let me show you what we're going to do with that. Here's my piece of graph paper, and you can see I've cut it out so it's right along the 1/4" line. What you're going to do is you're going to use it to help you find your 1/4". I used to use a ruler. Let me show you how I would do it. I would set the 1/4" line of my ruler against my needle, and then as it was wobbling around, I would try to put my tape there. This method with the graph paper is easier. So what I'm going to do is simply lower my needle exactly in the 1/4" line, drop the foot, that will hold it in place, and now I can take a piece of tape and lay it right there. This is glow tape from Omnigrid that works pretty well, and it peels right off. Or if you don't have that, you can simply lay a piece of painter's tape down. That will also work. Just be careful, I have this pretty filigree on here. I don't want to mess that up. Another option is, this is Next Care tape from the drugstore. You can also use that because it peels right off. So that's how you use your 1/4" graph paper to set up your 1/4". Now let's look at another way to do it. Let's look at a second way to set up your 1/4". Look at your sewing machine accessories. You may have a 1/4" foot, and that's what I have here. We're going to use the edge of the foot as our guide, and I have put in my single stitch plate. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Some people find it easier to lay a piece of tape down, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find our 1/4", which edge of our foot, and then we're going to just lay a piece of tape. Now I don't want to get the feed dogs, so I'm going to come over like that. Now I can move this out of the way. So now I have a little bit of a guide that may help you. And then we'll use the edge of our foot. I just want to show you with our sewing what we're going to do. Remember our leaders. That was in another sewing tip video you can watch. We're just going to start sewing, and I'm not really worried about the 1/4" just yet. But now I'm going to take my pieces. I've got my guide here with the tape, and I can sew. And I use the edge of the foot as my guide. Now I do want to give you a little hint. When you're sewing, are you looking at the needle or are you looking at the edge of the foot? You should be looking at the edge of the foot. Let me keep going and show you. See, here I'm looking at the edge of the foot. I can keep it lined up. If I'm looking at the needle, I might be going all over the place. Now some sewing machines actually have a little tick mark right here, which is also a nice 1/4" guide. So I am actually looking at this little mark and the edge of my foot as I'm sewing. And I'm using my hand to guide it. When I get to the end, I can use a stiletto if I want. And remember, we can use our chain piecing to do the next piece. So that's the second way to do your 1/4", and we have one more way. The third way to check your 1/4" is to check and see if you can move the edge or the needle over to meet the edge of your foot. And on this one, I can move it over once, and now I can get my 1/4 inch using the edge of the foot. What if you can't move your needle? Well, let's say you don't have a 1/4 inch foot and you can't move your needle. We can do the same thing that we did before, is we take our paper and we're going to drop our needle down into the paper, drop the edge of the, or drop the foot, and then we can lay tape. And ignore the edge of the foot, just use the tape. That's only if you don't have a 1/4 inch foot and there's no other way for you to sew an accurate 1/4 inch seam. That will help you in a pinch. Make sure that if you're moving your needle right or left, that you do have your stitch plate that allows you to move the needle back and forth. Don't have your single stitch throat plate on when you try to move the needle. I hope these tips have helped you. Please be sure to like my video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Be sure to check out my other videos and my webpage. You can find the link to my webpage and my other social media pages and the information below.